And let's go to the AAC and talk a little Cincy UCF at BetMGM right now. You know, since he's been on the rise all week, since he's a 6.5-point favorite, over under 63.5. Since he's ranked 7th in college football, and they are in the conversation for a college football playoff berth. This game will go a lot. They lose it, they're done. And depending on how they win it, they could move up, and it'll go a long way in deciding their college football playoff fate. Really intriguing game. This is a number Cincinnati's defense is elite. The Black Cats, 3-3-5 defense. Marcus Freeman, genius. I mean, they shut down these spread offenses for fun. Deep defensive line led by Sanders and Ponder on the edges, but Ponder was on crutches last week. He's one of the best defensive ends in all of college football. PFF actually has Sanders and Ponder as rated 1 and 2 as edge defenders this year. They just eat up blocks. They can get pressure for their linebackers. Really good linebacking group led by Jarrell White. Then they have a great corner duo. Their secondary is the strength. Great corner duo, Kobe Bryant and Ahmad Gardner. And their safeties, maybe one of the best safety groups in the country. And James Wiggins is just a stud back there. Just athletic defense, well-disciplined, well-coached, well-schooled, great tacklers with pro potential at every level. It's a legit defense. Number 3 scoring defense versus the number 1 scoring offense in UCF, who's averaging 619 total yards. The FBS record, by the way, is 624, set by 1989 Houston Cougars. Go Cougs. This game, look, it's just a complete contrast in everything. So what's going to win out? Explosive plays. Since he allows 0.8 plays of 30 or more yards, that's second in the nation. Against SMU's spread attack, air raid, they held them to 0. SMU averages like 3.5 or 4 per game. And they held SMU to 1 touchdown and 30 plays in the red zone. That's a huge storyline here because Cincy's number 4 in red zone defense. UCF, number 58. And last year, they only had 1 touchdown in 6 trips inside the red zone. So can they finish drives? Now, when I look at this UCF offense, number 1, I mean, it's so fast. It's just as fast as you're going to see. They average 86.5 plays per game. That's the most in the nation. Dylan Gabriel's playing at a really high level. He has 2 good backs, 2 dynamic receivers. Marlon Williams, 63 catches for 942 yards and 8 touchdowns already. I mean, that's just silly. They could get their deep threat Trey Nixon back, which is huge. This is how you have to beat Cincy. You have to hit. And Gabriel missed them last year, overthrew some deep balls. But Trey Nixon's their best deep threat. He hasn't played since the first half of Georgia Tech, but he's been practicing. He had 2 touchdowns in the first half against Georgia Tech, then got hurt. UCF penalties have been an issue, but you can't look at raw penalties. They play so many plays that their penalty numbers are always going to be a little bit higher. But they had 20 false start penalties in the first 3 games, 10 in one game. They've only had 3 in the past 3 games, so they've cleaned up some of those issues. They won't be surprised by the Cincy defense. Look, it's a 3-3-5 that Cincy unveiled for UCF last year. They never played it before. So UCF did not prepare for it. It was just a shock. There was a bunch of turnovers. They were inefficient in the red zone. And Cincy ended their 31 or 32 game scoring streak of 30 or more points. So, I do think, and look, the loss of Ponder, I should say the potential loss of Ponder is going to be big for Cincy. UCF going really fast, I think, is going to prevent Cincy from rotating their defensive linemen as much as they like, which is just a huge part of their defense. I think UCF is going to be able to get theirs, but so can Cincy. I mean, Cincy's offense is playing so much better right now. Desmond Ridder, he's getting rid of the ball quickly, taking 2.26 seconds to throw the ball. That's 8th quickest in college football. Last year, it was over 2.5 seconds. He was 84th. This year, when he's throwing the ball under 2.5 seconds, 77% completion percentage, top 29 touchdowns, 2 picks. More, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks, 50% completion percentage, outside the top 50 in all those stats. So I did Cincy. He's playing a lot of confidence. He's more decisive. And UCF they've had a bunch of opt-outs before the season started. They now lost 4 starters on defense who got kicked off the team. They're very young across the board, sophomores and freshmen everywhere. They lead the nation in takeaways. There should be some regression there. So I don't think Cincy's going to have any problem scoring. They are a little slower, but I like this over 63. I think UCF is going to be able to score. I think they're going to be able to get to 27-30. They're just playing so fast. I think they're going to hit some of these big passes. I know how elite Cincy's D's been. I know they've just been shutting down every spread offense. But if they do that again and they hold UCF to like 20 or 24, which would be really good. Only 2 teams have held UCF under 30 in the past 45 games, and I think UCF scored like 24 and 27 in those games. That means Cincy's, and I think Cincy will easily get to 30. And we've seen Cincy wants style points. Cincy, if they're up 14 with a minute to go, they're going to score again. And if they're up 21 with 30 seconds, they might onside kick it and try to score again. So you know that they're going to try to run it up. They need all the points they can get. So I like this over. I think it turns into a shootout and/or Cincy blowout. UCF gets to 20-24, and then Cincy needs to keep adding. They're not going to slow down. And you know UCF's just going to keep going fast the whole game. Thoughts?
There's a lot. Let me just say that, before we dive into this game, I went into Bet Labs and I've had such a problem with unders this season, and I'm getting ripped for taking unders. Guys, it's all a mathematical projection. And so I started to wonder, like, with all these unders that I've been losing this year, is there a particular conference with a particular reason why overs are clipping so much? And what I was able to find out is that the AAC, ACC, and MAC are clipping around 75% overs. It's insane. And that falls in line here with this game. I wouldn't take an under in those 3 conferences for anything. And I'm just, I know how odds makers set over unders. They have a team total and they adjust it based on what happened in the game. But I'm telling you that they can't keep up with what's going on in those 3 conferences because overs are just going at an unbelievable rate. So that being said, getting into this game, the difference has been, and this podcast has been pro Desmond Ridder since the beginning of the season, because used to be we lost money all the time on Desmond Ridder. He would get pulled or he'd have interceptions. He'd cost us a bunch of tickets. Now he's at 23 total touchdowns, only 6 INTs on the year, and he's contributed 500 rushing yards. His explosiveness, he is playing like he deserves to be at least mentioned for Heisman, and I think this team deserves talk of being in the college football playoff if we do not pull a bunch of undefeated teams from each of the Power 5 conferences. I think, it's not just getting yourself into position. Yes, the pace is going to be furious. Central Florida, 2nd in the nation in seconds per play. That's the way Josh Heupel wants to run. I think there's things that you need to look at. The reason why I love the over in this game is it's just not pace. It's explosiveness and defending explosiveness, which is a real problem for Central Florida, especially defending the pass. And so each one of these has explosive offenses, especially through the air. Even Tulane against this Central Florida team, Tulane had 8 passes over 15-plus yards. So if that's what Tulane's offense is doing against this Central Florida defense, I can't imagine what Cincinnati, how many passes they're going to have or how many explosive runs they're going to have. So like I said, Cincinnati's known for the defense and their coverage, but really their explosiveness on offense is really what's going to shine here. And I think one area that's not really being handicapped here is second-level yards. Second-level yards is something we really use in NFL from Football Outsiders to look at, breakaway speed and what are you doing once rushes get, 5 yards down the field. Standard downs explosiveness and second-level yards, Cincinnati's top 10 in the nation. So if they can get you in an open field, forget it. They're gone. Cincinnati is 7th in offensive finishing drives. Central Florida is 89th in defense in finishing drives. That is huge. Cincinnati, if you want a stat to tell your buddies at the water cooler, if you want something to tell them and they'll be like, holy shit, I got to take an over here, here's the stat. Cincinnati, and just, I don't know if you want to take them over. UCF's going to get their points, but if you want to take Cincinnati's team total points over, here's why. Central Florida is 106th in the nation in TD scoring percentage on their defense. Opponents have had 28 red zone trips against Central Florida. 24 of those 28 have ended in a score, and 21 of those 28 red zone trips have ended in a touchdown. They rank 106 in TD scoring position in the red zone. Teams are not just getting to the red zone, they're putting up 7. They're not putting up field goals. I think, Stuck, you're right. I think UCF is going to be able to contribute to the over, especially because of the pace. Dylan Gabriel's 18th in passing downs explosiveness. I think they're going to do their part to get to the over here. The point spread wise, if you're in a pick 'em pool, listen, I know that we have it power rated at 3, but this is one of those things like we said with LSU last year. I don't think that we can really put a ceiling on Cincinnati yet, especially when they're going for style points. When they need the college football playoff, this is the last brand name that they get on their schedule. Central Florida, to the committee, is a brand name, is a team that's wanted to be in the college football playoff for years. This is Cincinnati's last chance to put a memory or put something for them to talk about in the room. So I expect a ton of points from Cincinnati here, and I think Central Florida can help contribute.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing here, if you wanted to back UCF, maybe you do it on the money line if you want to, because there is value in the spread. But if Cincy's up 3 late, you'd be covering like with 2 minutes to go, and they might just try to run. No, they're gonna go to try to score and try to win by 10, and then you're gonna be sitting there ripping up your ticket.